living amazing. I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I be living amazing. I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days, driving delivery, not getting paid. I started rapping and everything changed. Travel to Italy, I celebrate everything that I've been doing. Closing the doors, but I'ma break through them. Caught me a foreign, but I want a new one. Look like a tourist, but I'm speaking fluent. Came a long way from my younger life. None of this happening overnight. Put in a decade of work, my resume speak for itself. These rappers be looking like socialites. I'm not a type for comparisons. Allergic to losses like Claritin. Believed in myself when nobody would. Remember they told me I'm arrogant. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I be living amazing. I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I be living amazing. I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. The longer the journey, the better the outcome. They got a label, did it without one. Don't need to fake it, I cannot stand them. Been dedicated, this is not random. I've been doing this for a minute. Put in the time, now I get to live it. Travel the world, I gave it a visit. Then I'm getting back to the business. Ayy, I'm Bradley Cooper when I'm feeling limitless. Making the money and then I be giving it back to the people who raised me. I take the rest, I invest and I'm flipping it. The industry full of some snakes. Live in the moment, then I get away. I take advantage of all of my chances. When I look back at how far that I came, yeah. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I be living amazing. I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I be living amazing. I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. Nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Ayy, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Ayy, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Ayy, these other rappers be my children, all of they feelings. Look at me go. Ayy, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Ayy, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Ayy, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Ayy, these other rappers be my children, all of they feelings. Look at me go. All of these rappers been getting richer when they always be rapping about being rich. That don't make sense to me cause I relate to the rappers who talking about real shit. I don't got time for that jibber jabber cause I already know what the deal is. They only here for today but they leaving tomorrow like they on a field trip. Windows tinted when I'm pulling up, feel like I'm Heisenberg cooking up. And if you been talking that crazy, got Dre with me and he fix you up. Who you know been dropping hit after hit after hit after hit. I'm on a mission, they get in my way and everybody knows that I'm never gon' miss. Look at me go. Ayy, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Ayy, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Ayy, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Ayy, these other rappers be my children, all of they feelings. Look at me go. Ayy, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Ayy, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Ayy, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Ayy, these other rappers be my children, all of they feelings. Look at me go. Spending more time with my fam, cause they the only ones who know what I've been through. Everybody riding waves, looking like they gotta find a new swimsuit. Made a promise to myself, I'm never gonna stop till I get what I'm meant to. I don't need much to be happy, just enough money to pay when the rent's due. Touring the world, I'ma make it happen. Meeting the fans who I made it happen. Know that I'll never be losing traction. Best in the game, yeah, I be the captain. Living my life with a chip on my shoulder. Lately it feels like a boulder. Looked at my watch and I don't have no time to chill. I need a meal. Look at me go. Ayy, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Ayy, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Ayy, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Ayy, these other rappers be my children, all of they feelings. Look at me go. Ayy, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Ayy, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Ayy, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Ayy, these other rappers be my children, all of they feelings. Look at me go. Ayy, look at that boy, got God all in him. All that I do is already written. Tell them my truth, I talk, they listen. Can't find a box that I could fit in. I've been on track, I've been through it all. Nothing they say could stop what I'm on. Back to the basics, mind been racing. I'ma go catch everything that I'm chasing. Not on my waiting, but I know my time coming and I'm getting impatient. Proud that I never just gave in. I could've made it, but I'd rather do it all my own way than whole lot of games, but I don't play them. My shit real, I don't do no faking. Already know this gon' be my summer. Watch how I'm coming. I've been on one. For my people, I work till the morning. I stay on my grind, I keep it going. I've been waiting on this way too long, yeah. Way too long, yeah. I've been on one. For my people, I work till the morning. I stay on my grind, I keep it going. I've been waiting on this way too long, yeah. Way too long, yeah. All that talk, but I'm tired of the cap. All around the world where you find me at. My GPS just turned to a map, and the life they show I've been living that. Just got back from the coast of Amalfi. Worldwide trips just turned to a hobby. I could get used to this, I've been doing that, I ain't new to this. But the grind don't stop, I'm too dedicated. I'ma do me if they love it or hate it. Check their streams, they looking inflated. All that fame be looking outdated. I'm trying to tell them to take over coming. Waiting my turn, but I'm finally buzzing. I've been the greatest, they know it. Started from nothing, I turned it to something. I've been on one. For my people, I work till the morning. I stay on my grind, I keep it going. I've been waiting on this way too long, yeah. Way too long, yeah. I've been on one. For my people, I work till the morning. I stay on my grind, I keep it going. I've been waiting on this way too long, yeah. Way too long, yeah. Hey, I'm out in the cold desert. My phone I do not disturb. I'm living the life, I'm feeling the vibe. They know that the bag's secure. Don't got any room on my passport. I travel around the world. The places I go, the things that I seen. Yeah, this is the life I earn. I look at the man in the mirror and I see a winner. I did it my way, I don't need your opinion. Put food on the table, my pockets got bigger. I'm eating that caviar, breakfast and dinner. I do what I want when I want and I love it. I knew all along I make something for nothing. I celebrate every day of the week. The checks keep increasing from month after month, and I give myself all the validity. I don't need nobody telling me differently. Don't care about fame, cause that don't mean shit to me. I just enjoy what I do and take care of my family. Whoa, I'm out in France, I travel the coast. I kick it in Cannes, hit Monaco. The life that I chose, I put in the work and I seen the results. Yeah, step in the ring, Muhammad Ali. My name got a ring like caller ID. I'm one of the biggest who rep NSC. The lack of respect is not bothering me. My life a reflection, what they wanna be. The views that I seen are hard to believe. I don't need approval from journalists who really be some failed MCs. I know the truth behind all the madness, minding my business, keep living lavish. Love all the fans who made it all happen. I wouldn't be here without them, don't take it for granted. Yeah, my life is a movie, but I'm not an actor. Everything real, I'm turning a chapter. On to the next, I'll see what's in store. But for now, I'm out in the cold desert. My phone I do not disturb. I'm living the life, I'm feeling the vibe. They know that the bag's secure. Don't got any room on my passport. I travel around the world. The places I go, the things that I seen. Yeah, this is the life I earn. Yeah, It's a new year, but I'm still here. Getting my reps up, I'm top tier. Been getting ready for war, I tell them there ain't no man I fear. Taking my time, but watching close. What they been saying about my flows. I gotta get my revenge, I'm proving them wrong and counting them O's. Whoa, putting that game in a chokehold. Never been paying for promo. Put a Rolex on my mama wrist. Got diamonds, calling them stone cold. Got my bro rich, I got my girl rich, so everyone good in my circle. I started from scratch and made these ends by putting my name on the logo, yeah. I be living with a vacation, I made Miami my zip code. Life been looking like the Travel Channel, they watching everywhere that I go. From Dubai out to Tokyo, then to Monaco, I done seen the most. I was sitting next to Kanye, said you changed my life, had to let him know. Made the beat, I had to switch it up, never needed nobody help. Remember when they didn't show me love, I had to get it all by myself. Still be thinking about the late nights, I was working overtime, losing rest. Nowadays I be sleeping good, knowing that the rest of my life is set. Made my net worth triple double like Westbrook, the way that I invest. Making music turn to a hobby now, cause I really don't need the bread. Could be sitting on the court side for a whole season with a breaking sweat. Used to buy that designer shit, but now I be wearing them Nike sweats. Getting older and more wise, changing what I prioritize. I be chilling inside the crib, I don't waste my time buying bottle signs. Used to flex when I was young, now I don't care to go post online. I'll be focused on finding peace all 2025.
Yeah, people come, yeah, people go. I just sit back and collect gold. I'd rather do it all on my own.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good every evening, good every evening, everybody. Wow, Jason, I completely trashed that one up.
Unbelievable. Like, afternoon, morning, evening, night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
to you.
Good to you. Good time zone. We got Hyperwork in chat. He always comes in and he's always like, good time zone, everybody. Good time zone. I think I'm going to start adopting that as just like good time zone. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I am so glad, so glad. I got a green matcha in hand today. Um, I am drinking the I love green matcha. I don't know about you, but this is like this is awesome and like all this caffeine, you need it.
I don't
But
need it. I'm just naturally hype. I don't know why you need it.
you're naturally like this?
I'm naturally like this.
Wow. Wow. I need some of that then because
So what
I
we
need a couple of these a day.
what we know about you is you're a Tesla owner and you drink green matcha. Your stock
Hey.
is going down real significantly in my book.
Hey. You know, I did not say that I was a vegan, and I don't have any problem if you are a vegan, but
Well, Jason,
I
Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Dig that hole further.
I was gonna say, you got to eat what you kill. Uh, every sales guy out there knows it. You got to eat what you kill.
You gotta eat what you kill. I just got back from vacation,
Yeah.
Jason. It was good.
Dude, that is awesome.
Oh.
Maybe that's why you're so excited. You're either refreshed or you're happy to be back from vacation. One of the two.
I don't know what it is, but yeah. So somebody's got you right here. Sell the Tesla, sell the tea, get a Dodge and some black coffee. Especially since you're in Michigan. You're in Michigan.
Yeah. I know. Listen, I drink 2 cups of coffee before I even leave the house. It's religiously every morning 2 cups of coffee before I even leave the house.
Yeah.
So
Straight
and
black,
then my
straight
Tesla
black,
drives
or
me, and then my Tesla drives me to the office.
So do you actually? So you trust the FSD then?
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
Is
Like
it?
I've seen it now since 2019. So I have seen everything from 2019 to now.
Okay.
Um, and like right now, the version of FSD, I don't even know what version it is, but it's the latest. It's amazing. I mean, I've had some moments where I thought the car was going to pull out and it didn't. Had my foot near the brake,
Yeah.
never had to apply it.
Yeah.
I mean, but it gets me to the office, gets me home, and I'll get off this, but they just released a report: 7.6 million miles before an event, and they consider an
Yeah.
event something that could be um, versus standard cars, normal
Yeah.
cars without FSD is like 1.1 million miles, So, I mean, I do think computers, AI, and everything else is going to help reduce car crashes,
Yeah.
human error.
So as
So,
somebody in cybersecurity, I have to ask this question, right? As somebody in cybersecurity, you run an MSSP, you defend enterprises day in and day out. Black Hat yearly has, and DEF CON has the car hacking village, and Tesla is front and center every year, and you're not
yeah,
worried.
we all accept risk.
There you go, chat.
Listen,
There you go, chat. There it is.
we all accept risk, but here we still get on flights.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, do you see in the last couple of months flights? Like, I mean, there's been more flight incidents, I feel, put on the news, public, like, than in like a Delta
Yeah.
flight,
Yeah.
American
Oh,
Airlines,
yeah.
I mean, so, I mean, I don't necessarily think that we have complete control over when we're going to get into an accident.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's
Yeah.
it is just, you said it best, right? We all accept risk. You're going to choose to accept
Yeah.
the risk of FSD. Other people are going to choose to accept the risk of even being on the highway in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, my aunt, she has since passed away now, but I remember my aunt, she would never get on the freeway.
Yeah.
Uh, she would, even if she had to drive someplace that was like a couple hundred miles away, she
Yeah.
would take all of the 55-mile-an-hour roads.
Mm,
And I never got my head wrapped around it because even on 55-mile-an-hour roads, you have that many more
yeah.
crossings and
Yeah.
intersections.
Yeah.
It's actually safer to get on the freeway.
Well, Jason,
You know,
I streamed for 3 hours last night, random ass Neal stream for those who tuned in. Thanks everybody who tuned in last night. And I talked ad nauseum about today's stream because I'm super excited for today's stream. I know you and I were excited before I went on vacation about today's stream.
yep.
Do you want to kind of hold on? Oh, before we do that, hold on. I gotta do the rules. I almost remembered
We
that
have rules.
we have rules. We do
This
have
is
rules.
just-
I
This is
know.
a free for all.
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we act like it's a free-for-all, but yes, Jason, we have rules. So let's talk about the rules really fast. First of all, we keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior. We are streaming live across multiple platforms, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, X. Huge shout out to everybody who's tuning in, not only on the Cyber Insecurity channels, but also you'll notice that I'm not streaming on my LinkedIn page anymore. I'm streaming this content on Jason, on your BitLift LinkedIn page. So if you're looking for me on LinkedIn and you're wondering why you're not seeing me streaming on LinkedIn, it's because I'm going to the BitLift channel. So if you're more comfortable watching this on LinkedIn, make sure you're going over to the BitLift channels and watching us on LinkedIn there. And honestly, that has mostly to do with the fact that Restream only allows me to pick one LinkedIn server to stream to. And so, we're streaming over there. Yeah, it is. But with that being said, we do have moderators in chat. Huge shout out to all my moderators. Give huge claps to all the moderators. W's in chat for all the moderators. They are here to keep chat
Thank you,
free
guys. Thank you, team.
of racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. They're here. They're working. They're tuning in, and moderating for you while they're on their day jobs. And so I truly do appreciate them taking the time out of their day to support Jason and I on this one.
Neal, we have something to celebrate.
We do. What?
We do.
What?
I heard a couple weeks ago, you got some amazing news, my friend.
I did get some pretty amazing news. For those who have not heard, thank you, Jason, for bringing it up. I am currently no signs of active cancer. I think they technically call it remission. I still have 5 years to go before I'm officially cleared cancer-free. But yes, I am currently, technically, by medical
That's awesome, my
definition,
friend.
in remission. Yeah, I
That's
appreciate
awesome,
it,
my friend.
Yeah,
So happy for you.
thank you. It's
You
been
had to go on vacation just like with a new set of eyes set on new sights.
Oh yeah. Well, and We should do a lifestyle stream, because I know you and I have talked a little bit about this as well. But I am now a changed man. Like, I'm down 30 pounds. I have like a clean diet. I haven't drank in 2.5 years. I have legitimately transformed myself, and I, you know, wholeheartedly blame cancer for that, for a good reason.
Yeah.
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 But with that being said, let's hit today's content. With that being said, obviously ask questions in chat at any point in time of Jason and myself. But Jason, right before we went on vacation, you guys were neck deep in a pretty significant incident. I mean, I understand that it was a near miss, but you guys were in firefighting mode. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And so that's why I'm so excited about sharing today's threat brief content. Um, you know, one thing I want to make sure that's completely clear: you can do everything that you can try and do in cybersecurity, and you're probably still not going to cover 100% of your doors, your gaps, and so what we try and do is showcase the areas that we know for sure, like that we're seeing in the trenches. And yeah, I called you, Neil, on Thursday night and Friday, and let you know that like what we were doing. We were neck deep. We actually had to not
Yeah.
stream
Yeah.
that week because we were all pretty busy. Um, but what I want to share today with the community is almost ransomed.
Well, let's
It is,
let's before we do that, what is that
yeah.
what is that chaos like when you get that oh shit moment that something is going down? Like, what does the battle space look like when that happens?
Well, first of all, you stay calm. I mean, there's no room in the room for panic, because it typically doesn't help people think strategically, methodically. I like the word methodically. We need methodical thinking in that time frame. Uh, but several people get on a call, your favorite, video call platform. Um, we start to talk about what we're seeing. We start to talk about activity that we're seeing, and we start to drive towards what's going on. Is this legitimate? Is this malicious? And then we start working towards ways of nixing it and killing activity. Um, and so you have to be methodically thinking and steer clear away from panic. Especially when you have, 5 to 10 people on a call. And oftentimes, if people don't completely understand or completely get what's going on, the first thing that they do is just start to panic. You want to keep those people calm, or you want to keep those people off the call, because they're typically not going to help you.
I imagine they're looking for a leader in that scenario, and they're obviously looking
100%.
to folks like yourself to be leaders in that scenario.
Yeah, and we've got some great people on the team, and it's not always me joining
Yeah.
those calls. We've got great people on the team that help lead those calls. But if you're out there and you're listening, and what I would just encourage you to do is narrow in on the activities, the facts of the situation. Don't let your head start to wander quite yet. Document things, and get everybody kind of huddled together and focus in. Um, and first of all, do discovery.
Yeah.
You always have to start out with discovering, what are we dealing with,
Yeah.
what's going on, and making sure that that's actually legitimate, and then you can start making decisions. This is the whole reason why you and I talked a couple streams ago about roundtable exercises and documentation and policies. It's not to bore people, but it's oftentimes in these situations you could say, hey, we have a written procedure. We have written policies. We have already performed exercises and roundtables that will help address what we're dealing with today.
It's clear
Um,
that your preparation paid off for you guys in this incident. So let's talk about this incident.
yeah.
Let's go through kind of a post-mortem. What happened?
So postmortem, um, what happened was is that a public server that particularly had a piece of software on it had a vulnerability. It also had SQL access, and as a lot of you may know or may not know, but the SA account, you cannot change the username to the SA account in SQL. It's set in stone, and but you can change the password. Um, and so what happens is like SQL gets a brute force attack using that vulnerability, giving you a very high level postmortem, but then you know malware eventually, because of the brute force attack and access gets granted, then you can pivot, you get access to the machine. um, in this case, you're going to love this, Neil, but in this case the machine was server 2008 R2. And uh, and by the way, I want to back up for here for just a second and say, if you are in higher ed,
Yeah. Oh
if you're
God.
at a college, university, small, medium, large,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Um, just 2 weeks ago, I was at a conference in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Spoke there. Very grateful for the opportunity, for the audience and the people that asked me to speak there, and shared with them a lot of similar content.
Yeah.
And the conversations afterwards were just really something to find out. Legacy software and legacy systems inside colleges and universities, they struggle with change, they
Yeah.
struggle with updating things, they struggle with budgets. And so I hate to use this word, but it's a little bit of a cesspool.
Mm.
And my heart goes out to those college and university IT people, because listen, you have to protect and defend sometimes a campus that is no longer its footprint, on prem,
Yeah.
and you've got to defend it with legacy stuff all
Yeah.
over the place.
So let's
You
speak of
know,
that legacy stuff. So you said this. So this is a higher ed. This is a university.
this is a
Obviously,
university.
yeah, obviously wrought with legacy software, legacy protocols, legacy. I can remember doing pen tests at universities in years past, and they mandated, like, they had a Class B, and they wanted every computer on the network to have public internet access, on a Class B address. So you've got a publicly facing server from 2008 that had a public vulnerability out to the internet. What was that vulnerability?
Yeah. So the vulnerability was actually on what is a software package called PaperCut.
Okay.
PaperCut is a software package that allows you to do print server operations.
So it was a print
So
server that was exposed to the internet.
100%.
Holy cow.
So yeah. And I mentioned this 2 weeks ago at the and like all these heads are nodding in the room.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm sort of ignorant to the fact of like PaperCut at one point in time was actually a very large, software package used by a lot of colleges and universities, and they sympathized and knew exactly what I was about to
Well,
say.
let's talk
Um,
about this, because I want to dive into this, because Beardsec says it, right, a print server on the internet. So what is PaperCut, and why is there a print server on the internet at a university?
so at one point, this might have made sense. But in 2005, and please forgive me, I am not trying to offend anybody. Like I said, at one point this probably made sense. That uh, the people at PaperCut actually convinced colleges and universities to install this software package, and they said, "Listen, this software package is safe and secure. Students can be anywhere, off campus, at home, a Starbucks cafe, whatever, and they could print to printers that are on-prem at the campus, and say, so like if you're finishing up a paper and you're a student at that higher ed, and you need to print it out and you don't have a printer at home, well, you could remotely print to the printer at the campus, go in, pick it up, and then move on to class, right?
I mean, obviously
And so
catering
this
to
is
the
what
simplicity of the user. Absolutely.
they're paying to go to that university. That yeah, you're thinking of like, how do we make it simpler for our customer? And
Yeah.
students are their customer.
Yeah.
So one of the sales benefits, to the customer or the student at that moment is like, hey, you could be sitting at home or a cafe and print all you want here, and then when you come
Wow.
in, just grab your print jobs.
Wow.
And I'm not kidding you. I had a couple people come up to me and be like, yeah, that was the thing, and that may or may not still be a thing. And I'm like, I'm reading in between the lines here, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me that this is still your current configuration? Because I just got done telling you about how vulnerable this is, and they're like, well, you don't understand the politics at our university. And I'm like, I'm not sure that those people in the political realm at your university understand the risk that they're
Yeah.
exposing themselves to.
Wow.
So if you would go back and explain the risk to them of leaving print servers open to the public internet, and that are running on outdated OSs and can't be patched, or you haven't patched them, uh, what does the university do when they're down and out?
Let's talk. We can. I'm sure you and I could go ad nauseum about the politics of higher ed. Let's table that maybe for the end if we have time, because I want to get to some of the technicals that you guys went through. Like, I want to get down to the tactical level, nuts and bolts of this incident. So
Yeah.
that was the entry point, was this paper cut software. How did you guys get involved? Like, what was the chain from? Obviously, that was the root cause analysis. There was an alert.
Yeah.
There was a first time to detection. What was your first time to detection?
So we were seeing, we have a couple of detection methods. Obviously, we're capturing logs. We have EDR
Mhm.
deployed into their environment.
Did you have
We're
EDR on
looking
the
at
print server?
traffic. Uh, Not on a 2008 R2. Uh, it doesn't support it. So
Hold on, wait a minute.
this is the problem.
CrowdStrike's $1 billion company. You're telling me that it doesn't support EDR on an
It's end of life.
end of life operating
No,
system? Are you got to be kidding me?
I mean, I don't think I'm telling you anything that you don't know, man. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's end of life. I mean, they would, if you called them up and said, "Hey, do you still support this?" They would say, "No, it's end of life."
Yeah, yeah,
It's awfully hard to write software on something that's EOL.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so you've got
But
EDR everywhere. Obviously, not on a print server.
yeah, I mean, so I think the yeah, I'm sorry, I just kind of lost my train of thought.
It's okay. That's okay. My bad. My bad.
It,
I
super frustrating, but yeah.
So we were asking about how you initially got alerted to this. Like, what was your detection mechanism on this one? Yeah.
So we have a couple of detection alerting mechanisms that allow us to see malware spread.
Yeah.
And so uh, we started seeing some activity on there where alarms were going off that were what I would call on the fringe.
Okay.
The malware spread, software that we hadn't seen in their environment before, on machines that we did have EDR in place.
Hmm.
And so what happened was is it flags and says, hey, we have done a really good job with this customer on whitelisting and blacklisting
Hmm.
of known PowerShell, known software installed. And so we've done a really good job tightening the screws with whitelisting and blacklisting on the EDR as well as the SIM. And so with all of that in place, we were able to see like, hey, some new files were showing up that we had not seen before.
Mm.
The EDR agent didn't know exactly what to do with them. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. So
Yeah.
that's a little flag for you to pin a note there. But we quickly got on and engaged with the customer and started, talking about the files, talking about the activity, talking about the traffic that we were seeing, because now at this point there was a command and control server communicating with the environment
Mm.
and downloading new files. So this was all stuff that was happening, and within minutes we were getting on a call. The activity was taking place and shared with us like, okay, we need to do something now because this activity is not normal, right?
Yeah.
Um, so this is actually, I mean, we've seen this many times over, but when you start seeing servers internally communicate with command and control servers and then downloading more software,
Yeah.
the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
It's a matter of time.
D-Day's about to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
So all of that to say is like, um, our team noticed some communication on the some Cobalt Strike server, which was the command and control server. Um, we seen some compromised winlogin.exe, opened some commands and ran some PowerShell, and so the team got involved right away. I mean, I think we were in on the call and a bridge was established within 10-15 minutes total time of activity, initial discovery.
You said that
And
real quick.
and
You
then
said that it was downloading some files. What was it downloading from the command and control server?
so it was actually downloading um, uh, PowerShell was communicating with a two-mine command and control server, and then there was some great files, invoke dash pow dump.ps1,
Okay.
invoke the hash.ps1, invoke
Mimikatz,
mimikatz.ps1.
of course. Mimikatz
Yep.
still in use today, baby. Still in use
Still in
today.
use. Still in use. Invoke smb exec.ps1,
Mm-hmm.
and
To do lateral
and
movement
then
on shares.
to,
Yeah.
to do lateral movement on shares. And then you might find this interesting, but it got into also using the Monero XM rig miner,
Mm.
and then which then the very next step is it downloads Bluesky
Mm-hmm.
ransomware
Yep.
as the payload.
Yep.
So you might be listening to this stream and you're like, guys, wait a minute, why are we talking about Bluesky that debuted in 2022,
Yeah.
right? So it debuted 2.5-3 years ago.
Yeah.
The reality is just with some updated files,
Yeah.
it is still alive and well and being used today.
Yeah.
Um, as we seen just a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to press upon people here is this, like, the command and control server is still alive and well today,
Like you
right?
could still see the server on the internet. That server's still working. Oh,
We have the IP
are those? I was gonna
addresses,
say, are
and
those
we
IP
have
addresses in the IOC list?
they are in the IOC
So
list.
if you're listening in chat, hit exclamation point IOCs. You can get to the BitLift GitHub page where the IOCs that Jason's talking about and a whole bunch more are actually at. So the Cobalt Strike server is still up and running. So obviously they're still using that in active campaigns.
Yeah. So when you think about this, you could say, well, what I don't want you to think about is like, okay, I don't have a print server that's publicly available, and this actually can get in different ways, right? This just happened to be the way that we seen it occur.
Yeah.
If you have a SQL server um, exposed publicly, and if they can brute force your SQL server, now that's pretty common.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the activity that we see.
Yeah.
But what I want to make sure that you take away from today's discussion is that you focus in on sort of the front end,
Yeah.
initial access and things like that, but you focus in on the middle stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you can focus in on like the activity that was taking place, the steps, well, then you can start to monitor and watch the activity within your own environment for the steps that take place.
Well, this is why we talk about defense in depth, right? Is like you couldn't defend the print server, so you had to defend the next
100%.
layer in. Yeah.
The next layer in, you
Yeah.
had to come around it in other methods. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, we tried to get the print server replaced, renewed, whatever you want to, like, we were talking to them for at least the last year to 2
Mhm.
years. on getting this out of the environment,
Yeah.
replacing it with something else. But it comes with a legacy mindset and culture internally that we want to make it as easy as we possibly can for students to consume
Yeah.
the college or university. And it's like, yes, but we couldn't probably do it in this way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we should find another way.
All right, so we've got a publicly exposed print server running on 2008 with no
Yep.
EDR. You guys got some alerts internally that you were starting to see some suspicious traffic. You started to see some files, some post exploitation files coming into some boxes, some PowerShell scripts, Mimikatz, password dumps, things like that.
Yep.
Now you're involved. Now you've instigated an incident response process. Now you realize it's
Yep.
only a matter of time before the entire environment is ransomed. What's next?
So the software branches off in two ways. I want to talk about this. The malware, the criminals have branched off now. One is it's going to establish a connection to a two-mine CT server,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to download checking.ps1.
Okay.
And literally that's the file name, checking.ps1.
Not even trying to hide that these are malicious PowerShell scripts by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. And what the checking.ps1 file does is it checks the OS, it checks other variables, it checks um, it sets variable names, $priv and $OS version, right? It checks for admin and the exact version of the operating system. So it wants to see like, hey,
In the
the
NSA,
account that I have,
in the NSA days, we'd
yeah,
call this we're situation analysis. Like we're gathering a ton of information post exploitation to see where the f are we on this box.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what checking.ps1 does.
Mm,
Is it does that analysis. It actually saves that information and sends it out,
mm,
right? So now that that the criminals know, right? But
yeah.
at the same time, there's a next file that it downloads, and it's called uh, Kallen.ps1, Kallen.ps1, which is a PowerShell script from the Mimikatz and two mine server, right? This this is really interesting. So I don't want to get too far off on this tangent, but if you are a person out there that literally you hang your hat, you hang your career, you the words come out of your mouth, we have this EDR in the brand name,
Mm-hmm.
CrowdStrike, Sentinel One, Carbon Black, Silence, whatever the
Defender, it
case may
doesn't
be,
matter. It's all of them.
Defender,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's all of them. You can take any of those, and this is literally it's running a script, and it says what is it finds what version of EDR you're running on here,
Yeah.
and it stops it. So it stops it, right? And it's going to create a function that if the EDR tries to re-enable itself, it's going to stop it again. And then this loop just continuously happens.
But there's nothing.
So
This isn't a 0-day. This is built-in Windows commands that it's just looping through to keep EDR shut off.
100%. This is not 0-day. These are, if you were sitting there in the PowerShell command prompt window writing the scripts yourself,
Yeah.
this is what's executing in an automated fashion. It's just not being done by a human at the
I want to
moment.
make sure
like
that
you.
people in the
And
back hear this. This isn't a 0-day. This is built-in Windows
yeah,
system commands that are doing this.
yeah. And right now, what we've seen in this checking.ps1 file is that it sets, stops, and disables these anti-malware solutions, Defender, Sophos, and Malwarebytes
Mm,
right off the bat.
mm,
Because we believe, and I want to preface this and make this statement that we believe it's probably because of the large footprint. Obviously,
sure.
Microsoft Defender,
Yeah.
very large footprint.
Yeah.
Sophos, they have a large footprint in sort of uh, they have a large footprint in the um, cheaper EDR solution realm.
Didn't they just
You
buy
know,
SecureWorks too? So like they've got a large portion of
yeah,
the MSP market as well now.
yeah, they have a
Yeah,
large portion of the MSP market, and then Malwarebytes,
yeah,
um, which has got a lot of people out there that used to love the free version, and Malwarebytes is still alive and well. And you know, I'm not going to go too much into
yeah,
it, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I want you guys to know that this checking.ps1, this version of this file that we seen is literally stopping, setting it to disabled, and then it runs a checksum every several seconds to make sure that the antivirus anti-malware
Hmm.
agent is stopped and not restarting.
Yeah,
This way here they can go and do their work and not be detected.
yeah.
Uh,
So we've got downloading obviously Mimikatz for password dumps and elevating privileges and things like that. We've got a recon, as Callie put it, or situation awareness check that's being downloaded and checked as well. What else is
yep.
happening? And I want to make sure everybody's understanding that this is all happening at lightning speeds. We're not talking about over a couple of days. These are
Oh,
scripts that are being downloaded and executed immediately.
this is all happening in seconds and microseconds,
Yeah,
right? These
yeah,
these scripts, the way that we looked at them, they are calling each other,
yeah.
and as quick as the computer can run them, they're happening in microseconds,
Okay, so we've got
milliseconds.
we've got Mimikatz, we've got the recon check. What else we got that's running on the box post exploitation?
So the one thing that I want to make sure that you're catching here is we seen this. It also adds its files to the exclusion list of the anti-malware. So it's protecting itself that if for some reason the anti-malware engine is able to restart
Mm-hmm.
and it's not able to keep it shut down, it has now added itself to the exclusion list.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this is like brilliant,
yeah,
right? I mean, like
yeah,
if you're sitting at a whiteboard and describing this is brilliant, right?
yeah. And
So
it's not
now
because of
you
a
have to
zero
be
day in
work.
any of these providers. It's not a zero day in any of
We're
these
not.
providers.
That's right. You're using the software in
Yeah,
the exclusion list
yeah,
for the tactics that you're trying to carry out.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah.
So let me also express this. We found it straight inside of the Windows registry of the exclusion list. When you went and looked at the UI of Defender, Malwarebytes, or Sophos, it didn't show up in the UI of the software product, but it was in the exclusion list inside of the registry.
Mm, mm,
And the registry takes precedence over
yeah.
the actual
So even
software.
if they
So
had, even if
you,
they downloaded a new signature file or something from a central server, it wouldn't have mattered.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So then it moves on and it looks at and it says, hey, it checks for what are the privileges of the account that it has access to at the moment.
Mm,
It wants to see if this is a privileged user or if it's an admin account or it's a standard user. And then it downloads miners as a java.exe file.
mm,
It creates SQL / program data / Oracle / Java, and then it runs the WinRing 0x64.sys driver, and then this creates 16 tasks. So again, if you want to flag for something on your
yeah.
environment, I would be looking for, if I were you, I would be looking for what in your environment and who, as a human being, is going to create 16 tasks that run in the
We're,
Windows
we're
task
talking about we're talking
scheduler.
about scheduled task on a Windows box. Like
Scheduled tasks on a Windows box.
there
Yep.
is almost no legitimate reason outside of even fundamental system administrative task where boxes should have scheduled tasks running on them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's far and few of, we're not talking about personal computers here. We're talking about, servers and
Yeah,
machines at a higher ed campus. You're not going to typically run, scheduled tasks in there like you would,
yeah,
a personal machine at home, right?
yeah.
So
By the
It
way, as
encodes.
you guys hear Jason rattle off these IOCs, you can hit that exclamation point IOCs in chat, get access to the BitLift GitHub page, which will have all these IOCs. Don't worry about jotting these down in the middle of the call. There'll be a printout of all of these. So we've got
100%.
16 scheduled tasks that are now also created immediately as well.
Yep. And it's created with the java.exe file. So it looks like a legit file, right? The tasks are now created and set, and it encodes the command with hidden .hta files
Mm,
that are the scheduled tasks.
mm.
So the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis around this is because one thing that I want you to note and take away is .hta files are typically not detected by current malware EDR.
There's no reason for them to be. They are legitimate system files that are perfectly normal in every environment.
Yep. But they can encode and they will carry out PowerShell commands and never be detected by
Yeah.
the anti-malware engine. This is really big. Um, I think, in my personal opinion, this is one of those situations where if more criminal hackers hone in on this, all malware engines are going to have to change to better detect this.
Yeah.
Um, because .hta extension files right now can carry out extensive PowerShell commands and never be detected.
Wow. Wow. So
So
we've got a what about we talked a little bit about what it was dropping. We talked about some of the evasion stuff that's happening. How far? Let's talk about like impact here and how far did it get? And I think there was a great question from Hammerhead on this one too. Was did you guys identify any data that was being exfilled at all before ransomware? So like you've got that, you know that you've seen this activity. You're obviously trying to get ahead of this activity. I imagine there's
yeah,
some impact scenario that you guys are running on this as well at the same time to try to figure all this out.
100%. In this situation, there was no data exfil before the ransomware attempt. So we were checking for that. We were checking for traffic, and we were checking for also the IP addresses that we had listed as being abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we looked for that extensively because we know the name of the game today is grab their data and then ransom.
Yeah.
But in this case, they did not grab data. They didn't have access to data yet that would have been "quote unquote" worth exfilling. In our opinion, it was basically just systems, system data.
They hadn't made it to anything
No,
critical in the network yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
no student data, no financial data, nothing like that. So
Real quick, another one from Callie. A great question here. Did you guys notice what they were using? I heard you say that they downloaded a PowerShell script for SMB shares. What else was it? Just SMB shares that you noticed for lateral movement, or what else did you guys see for lateral movement?
it was focused around SMB shares.
Mm.
So it goes back to what you and I talked about
Mm-hmm.
around SMB signing
Mm-hmm.
and that whole SMB usage. Um, make sure that you have your SMB under control in your
Mm-hmm.
environment. But yes, in this case, it was all focused around SMB shares.
Mm.
So,
And when we
which is
talk
still
about,
highly used.
I was gonna say, I was like, I mean that was major when I was at the agency. That was major when I came out and was building pen testing teams. Is you immediately see what all shares that computer is on, and they've obviously got access to those shares. And typically, most enterprises have write permissions on by default to almost any share you have access to. So it's just a propagation for there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I would, it would be, I would be ill informing you to say that it was anything more than that. In this case, we did not see anything other than the S&B shares being exploited and used.
So let's talk about so when we talk about incident response process, right? You guys identified it, you contained it. It sounds like what were the steps that you took to contain the incident?
So we immediately removed and started killing not only the tasks but the files that were creating the tasks. We also noticed a file that was trying to recreate the task to make
Mm,
sure that there was persistence.
mm-hmm.
Um, and essentially, you have to take the machine offline to a state. This was a virtual machine,
Mm,
so it wasn't a physical box.
mm,
But we did have to kill its network access so that we could get the files under control.
yeah.
Um, and once we were able to do that, we were able to clean the machine as best as we possibly could. And our recommendation was is not to bring this machine back online,
Yeah.
um, or kill it completely. Obviously, the university has got some decisions to make.
Yeah.
And they have to do, it's their decision. Ultimately, we can only recommend, right?
Right. Right.
But
Right. The business still
there
gets to
was
make the business decision at the end of the day,
yeah,
as stupid as it
yeah,
may be.
yep.
Yeah.
And so you've got to go through, there's a whole list of registry keys, there's a whole list of files.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one thing that I wanted to point out was is that uh, the HTA is able to run PowerShell. So those HTA files you now have to pay very close attention to. You either have to whitelist or blacklist them.
Yeah.
Um, and then furthermore, you've got to decide whether you want to have uh, the proper permissions and privileges, um, allowing to run those PowerShell scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is a point in time where we highly recommend to get pretty focused around removing permissions for certain PowerShell scripts, and only giving it said permissions that it absolutely needs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's
So
it's kind of
overly permissive settings in an enterprise where anybody can execute PowerShell scripts pretty much on their machines.
yeah, that's a big no-no because
Yeah.
this will just take over and have a field day.
All right, so you talked about eradication. You talked a little bit about recovery, about putting the box, back online, or letting the business make the decisions, but about putting the box back online. I assume from my days of teaching SANS and teaching 504 and things like that, along with recovery, there's some ongoing monitoring. Are you guys doing some short term and some long term monitoring? What are you guys looking for?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. We've been in contact with the customer on a regular basis, stepped up our communications with them in the short term, because we just want to make sure that all of the activity that we've seen and noticed has been cleaned up, has been dropped. Obviously, you just can't take a university offline,
Yeah.
when there's this. So you have to do containment and cleanup as best as you possibly can with systems still online. Um, and with this, again, not being a 0 day, it's using all of the standard, Windows protocols, procedures,
Yeah.
commands. Uh, you have to filter out what's normal,
Yeah.
what's real in there, and what's not normal.
Wow. As I mean, and I can say this, like, I've not worked at an MSP, but I've worked at, organizations, and I know that conversation is always contentious where you saw bad shit happening, you're trying to protect the org, and the business is trying to do what the business does. What is that conversation for you or your team? We've had Noah on the stream, and Noah's brilliant, and he's amazing, and we love talking with Noah as well. Like, how hard is that conversation with the business, knowing that they were almost ransomed, but yet they may want to put this thing back on the internet?
I mean, they they talk about they have to make policy changes
Mm-hmm.
within the organization. The organization has to say, yes, we want to remove this as a feature function from students, and we need to ask students to either come on campus in order to print, and we're removing this uh, not right, but we're removing this feature that we told everybody that they were going to have to be able to remotely print. We're now removing that, and we're
Yeah.
going to do it differently going forward. So then they have to communicate it out to all the students, staff, and faculty, as it's a big change,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's not just a policy
but
change,
I
it's an
do think
entire operational change for the university.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
and so uh, definitely very open to it.
Yeah.
They definitely were very open to it, and knew that it was something that needed to be done,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
I,
and so the conversations are great,
yeah.
especially these IT folks. They know, they see, and they understand. Just oftentimes, it's like being able to communicate that risk to the other people, the other executives, and get their buy-in. Um, is probably one of the biggest things that we've seen with inside these organizations.
Well, I think that that kind of
But
leads to what
otherwise,
Callie's asking here, right? Is did anybody actually care? I think he's using a board member kind of in this scenario, but I mean, like, we talk about the IT folks. I think we can all agree the boots on the ground are probably the most akin to the risk and the vulnerabilities that exist in an enterprise, and it starts to lose focus the further up the chain you go. Have you seen that type of buy-in the
yeah,
further up the chain you go?
yes, they've especially because of the close call,
Mm.
right? Um, if you come to them and you don't have a close call,
Mhm.
sometimes the buy-in is like, well, nothing's happened quite yet. We can kick this can a little bit down the road. There's not a impending decision or big thing that we need to make a decision about today. But since there was a close call and all the proof and facts are now right in front of them,
Mhm.
it's it's like, okay, we need to make a choice. We need to
Yeah.
make a decision here, and we can't keep going the same way that we've been doing it because
Yeah.
that's not good.
Great props here from Renegade Tony over on YouTube. Says, "What a mess! This is a great show as always. I'll have to watch this with my team later." While I definitely appreciate it, Tony and Jason does as well. Jason, it would not be a stream if I didn't put you on the spot. The last step of every incident response process is lessons learned, and I refuse to believe that as
Mhm.
awesome as you and Noah and everybody at BitLift is, that you guys executed this thing absolutely flawless and had no lessons learned coming out of this. So I want you to be super critical of you guys' process and you guys' team. And if you're not, I'm going to call you out on it. What was you guys'
100%.
lesson learned in this incident?
So there was at least six that I wrote down.
Mm,
We had six takeaways of lessons learned, and I would tell this to anybody that I'm talking to is we are not perfect.
mm,
I don't know anybody in cybersecurity that is perfect. If somebody does tell you we have a bulletproof solution,
yeah,
run fast
yeah,
in the opposite direction. But so here's what I would say is um, we started upping our talks with them. Like, you need to replace the Server 2008 R2 right now and the Windows 7 machines that are still in the environment, or we need to segment them off from the rest of the environment. Crucial. So that was one thing that was like a shared responsibility between us and them.
mm-hmm,
The second item is the HTA file extensions can be used as an interpreter for PowerShell.
mm-hmm,
So what we've done is we've stepped up our game on the .hta file
mm-hmm,
extensions and being monitoring those and their usage, and even setting some whitelist and blacklist parameters
mm-hmm.
around those files, which we we sort of never really realized the extent of the HTA file extension before, and
Right.
what they were capable of doing. This is sort of the first foray into seeing them being used for malicious
I
activity.
think that's the
So
underlying. That's what everybody should be hearing from this is that you guys have been doing this for a while, and this is really the first time you've encountered this type of TTP in execution that
yes,
almost cost you pretty dearly.
yeah. The third item is that all current EDR brands do not detect HTA files as malicious files.
Yeah,
So their engines just don't process them, or are able to process them as malicious files.
yeah,
They will let them run, and you'll be like, "Wow, why did this happen?" Um, so we have made again, we use Silence Protect, and that's not a
Yeah,
that's not a sales
yeah.
marketing, but I'm just letting you know that we use Silence Protect, and even we have seen this customer had Silence Protect and Windows Defender in play. That's how we seen it shutting down Windows Defender,
Hmm.
but it didn't shut down Silence Protect.
Yeah,
And so on the various machines where we did have Silence Protect on there, we were able to see activity that caused us questions.
yeah.
So, but Still, the HTA file extensions across the EDRs is troublesome.
Yeah.
That was number three. Number four. So on our side,
Yeah.
we changed some of our alerting criteria and our detection methods. So one of the things that we look for is from malware spread
Mm.
or software of the same file name, hash, extension. And if it ends up on one machine, two machines, three machines, four machines, five machines, what we were looking for is around four to five machines,
Hmm.
and we would consider that a possible malware spread.
Yeah.
We changed our alerting criteria down to one to two.
Mm.
So you do get a little bit more chatter on alerts that way
Mm.
because the first time software shows up on a machine,
Hmm.
and if you're alerting at one,
Yeah.
well, next thing you know, that's it, right?
I imagine you got to work with the
Um,
IT teams too if they like start to push out a new software package via SMS or SCCM or whatever the case is. That could trigger an alert too if you're not careful.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. We're also now detecting on a whole bunch of tasks getting created in one fell swoop within
Mm.
seconds.
Mm.
You know, we can see one task getting created.
Hmm.
Most of the time, if you're a system admin or something, you need to create a task. It's simple. You set one up. One task we're okay with,
Hmm.
but like 16 tasks getting set up in seconds is an alarm. We didn't set ours at 16. We set it much lower than that.
Yeah.
But just a good point to point out is that we now know the task scheduler is being used. We've known that for years, but these 16 and then the follow-on steps were indicators that we changed our alerting criteria.
But this
So
gets down to you're having to come over top the technological solution to match behavioral elements that are associated with threat actors.
100%. Yeah, and I would encourage you to do the same thing. Like our team members read how were previous attacks carried out, what were the steps, reading other threat briefing reports produced by other companies, and then you create detection methods based on what you read.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you
think
know,
there was a great follow on kind of similar to that. How do you evolve behavioral definitions without the fatigue? Because to your point, at some point in time now you've lowered the threshold for number of software applications on multiple hosts or the number of scheduled tasks that were created. What's that balance between looking for those behavioral analytics versus the fatigue that Noah and the team feel on a day-to-day basis?
yeah. It's a great question, and I'll be honest with you. There's not like a silver bullet for this.
Yeah.
Um, probably over the couple of weeks, you're going to be modifying some of these alerts like we are. You're going to be in communication with your other team members. In our case, we're in communication with our customer
Hmm.
on a regular basis, either over the ticket electronically or over phone calls and in video meetings.
Hmm.
But you're making adjustments. Okay, setting this to one was way too much.
Right.
Let's move it to two or three. You talk about, hey, is there anybody else doing this type of activity that we would see this? You kind of take a few minutes to think about it, but you're adjusting those alerts, you're adjusting those criteria
Hmm.
over the coming weeks. And hopefully, after 2, 3, 4 weeks, you've gotten that alarming criteria down
Hmm.
to where it should be.
Yeah.
And it's not fatiguing you anymore. So, but it can take a couple of weeks.
So,
Any good system.
so I'm going to ask you.
That's the
I'm going to ask you the red pill question, Jason. Is AI going to solve that problem for you?
Ooh, man. I, I'd love to say yes. I'm still yearning for it. We all are still yearning for it inside the team. We're using, I would say, all of the current latest products that you could. We've got customers on CrowdStrike, we've got customers on Defender, we have customers on Cylance, all claim to be using AI inside their engines. Um, but still, you know, no one like our stock team is not, you know, sitting leaned back, waiting for the AI
Sure.
to just help them
Sure.
with everything.
Right.
Uh, I I think in a future time frame, AI will help assist with these, but current current situation it still leaves a lot to be desired.
I think that is very well said, very well advised from the boots on the ground. Let me, on behalf of the entire community, on behalf of everybody listening, let me be the first to say thank you so very much for your transparency. Thank you so very much to Noah and the entire team and Hannah for putting this report together. This is great for everybody to see what really happens on the trenches. This is why we do those threat briefs, so that everybody can see actionable data for what's happening on the trenches. Give my huge thanks to the entire team. Everybody, you can hit !IOC or IOCs. Thank you very much, BeardSec, for fixing that, and get access to this report that Jason and the team have put together on this particular type of attack that includes the IOCs. With that being said, Jason, I want to also thank you again for the weekly Try Hack Me vouchers. The giveaway is currently running inside of Discord right now for the giveaway for the 3 Try Hack Me vouchers inside of Discord. So thank you and the team for that. Before I cut you loose, anything you want to close on?
There is one more thing. I want to, the last and final point here is if I could encourage you to run vulnerability scans and run vulnerability scans on your public facing servers. Know what you have your exposure to on your publicly facing servers. If you have SQL servers, or if you have systems that access SQL servers, database servers, know that you've got to protect those crown jewels first and foremost, right? With a uber focus. So that's what we really encourage this customer with is like, let's get these high critical vulnerability servers off of public access.
Yeah.
Right. Because these are going to get exploited quicker than you can shake a stick, you know?
Great advice. Sound advice as always, Jason. We're going to be back on in 2 weeks, I think. We're going to be back on back to Tuesdays in 2 weeks for another threat brief.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
I'd love it.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys do or don't have another major incident by then. I mean, hopefully you get some sleep between now and then. I know what that's like when you're hustling for 24.
Sleep is amazing. You know, at this age, I'm like, nap? Do we get to take a nap? Like, yes, please. You know.
Sign us off, Jason. Sign us off.
Yeah. So appreciate everyone joining today. Hope you guys are loving your job and your career. One thing that I wrote down that is so important, I think, in our space, cybersecurity and IT, is the culture that you breathe into it. And you know, you might think to yourself, I might not be a great leader. You might be a great leader. What I would encourage you is if you don't think that you're a great leader today, I would encourage you to focus in on what are 1 or 2 things that you could improve upon in leading the people that are around you. You might not think that other people watch you or look at you or look up to you. But I would say otherwise. I think that people are always watching you, looking up to you, looking at you. And so I would just encourage you, whether you think small of yourself or you think big of yourself, not egotistical. I'm talking about having humility. But I would just encourage you to create the culture that you would want inside of your team. You really can have an impact on the people that are closest to you and around you and that you work on and you work with every day. So that's what I would leave you with is just look at culture and look at the team members that you'd want to speak into and just try and love on them and care for them and lead them how you'd like to be led.
Well said, Jason. I couldn't have said anything better else. Chat, y'all take care. We'll see you on Friday morning with Tio the Hacker. Don't forget to hop into Discord for the giveaways. Thanks, Jason and the team. Jason, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you guys.
Never been worried about taking a loss. Now I don't even look at what it costs. I just be swiping a platinum card. I've been on top of my game for 10 years straight. I fell in love with the chase to be at the top, and I'll be back for a whole nother the season, whether they ready or not.